by His Excellency the President, Comrade Ambassador Mnangagwa.
Usenjalo futhi umhlangano weSADC usuyenelise ukuthi kube lokusebenzelana phakathi kwamazwe ku-Afrika. Umhlangano sibone ukuthi kuqhutshwa umhlangano khathesi we-Ministerial Council kulabo abasanda kuxhumana nathi, but kusasa yikho lapho uzaba lo mhlangano okubekwa kukamongameli welizwe Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa ukuthi abe ngumgcini sihlalo wenhlanganiso ye-SADC.
Most definitely. Now let's also have a look at some of community-related engagements that were taking place during the course of the week. Some of the sentiments shared by the general public on their understanding or appreciation of SADC. Let's listen in to Kurtley Gwindy's findings as he went throughout Harare.
Hello viewers and welcome to it. Yes, it's a bright and shiny day coming to you from Harare, Zimbabwe, where we are seeing the preparedness, readiness, as well as excitement around the SADC summit that is going to be happening right here in our capital. Yes, we are of course going to be questioning and just doing and conducting a mini street quiz that obviously speaks volumes to the history, the knowledge, as well as preparedness of the people themselves around the Southern African Development Community Summit that is taking place, where we're also going to see the chairmanship being instated on our President, His Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. Now come with me on this journey. My name is Kurtley Gwindy, and let's walk together to find out what the streets of Harare are thinking at this moment. I'm joined by Mitch, who is speaking all things to do with SADC. Mitch, how are you feeling?
Great, fantastic. Thanks.
Absolutely, and perhaps break it down for us. The acronym SADC, what does it stand for?
Isn't it Southern African Development Community?
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for the Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Community.
Southern African Development Community.
Southern Africa Development Community.
SADC stands for the Southern African Development Community. An organization that was started to ensure that there is cooperation amongst Southern African countries.
Please tell us where the headquarters for SADC are.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they're in Gaborone in Botswana.
The SADC headquarters at the moment are in South Africa.
I think Ethiopia.
I think they're in Gaborone, Botswana.
I think South Africa.
The headquarters are in Botswana.
If you can name for us 3 founding fathers within the SADC.
SADC Khama, R.G. Mugabe, Julius Nyerere.
The SADC founding fathers, I think there was Samora Machel, there was Robert Mugabe, and there was also, I think, Nyerere could have been also part and parcel of that cooperation, I think.
I think I know one. That's SADC Khama in Botswana.
Hopefully I'll just name one, Samora Machel.
BADEA. Samora Machel. That's what I know.
Founding fathers. First one is Dr. Magufuli. President Robert Mugabe and SADC Khama.
In 30 seconds, I'm going to give you the chance to be able to share with us countries that are within the SADC region, as many as you can. Let's go.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana, Cameroon.
So in SADC we have Zimbabwe, obviously. We have South Africa. We have Lesotho, we have Swaziland.
Zimbabwe, Mozambique and Malawi.
Obviously start with Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, Namibia. I don't know if Namibia is in Tanzania. To mention a few, only to mention a few,
There's Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Malawi, and Mozambique.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ethiopia, DRC, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Egypt.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Kenya, Comoros. That's why I know.
South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, Angola, DRC. Angola, I've said. Malawi, she's a bit further north. Not Tanzania. Tanzania included.
South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Tanzania, Namibia, Zambia, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mauritius, Madagascar. I think that's about it that I know.
Perhaps share with us who the incoming chair, who's going to be instated this August here in Harare, Zimbabwe, who that chairperson is.
His Excellency ED Dambudzo Mnangagwa.
Isn't it Mnangagwa? I'm not really sure.
His Excellent Dr. Idi Mnangagwa.
The incoming chair is His Excellency President Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa.
Thank you so much there to Kurtley Gwindi, giving us some of the general sentiments and appreciation of the public with regards to SADC. Some of the questions there being a bit tough to answer. However, at the same time, it being clearly understood the role that Zimbabwe would be playing in taking on chairmanship of the Southern African Bloc. Now, still extending in our discussions during the course of our programming, where we will be showing you various excerpts of programming in line with the SADC during the course of the day. However, you can look forward to live updates from the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, where we'll be giving you arrivals of various heads of state during the course of the day. We'll also have guests in studio to be able to share with us the steps that have been taken in ensuring that the 44th SADC Summit has met its duly required positions. And helping me do that in studio is Mr. Wilbert Mzarawetu, who is also a political analyst and who will also be able to share with us the importance of the occasion. Mzarawetu, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here, Mr. Friday.
Yeah. Now, heads of state are starting to arrive from yesterday. And, of course, today we should have a few more heads of state making their way in, looking at the progression from, I think we could say, Monday, Tuesday. What has led us to where we are currently?
Well, one needs to understand that it possibly could have been a preparation which took a lengthy period of time. We're talking about us as Zimbabweans having to put our house in order to welcome several heads of states in the SADC region. We also need to pay importance and significance to the nature of the peace which has been prevailing in Zimbabwe over the course of the last decade and 5 years, with the leadership of His Excellency President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. We have seen that as Zimbabweans we're peace-loving, and where there's peace, economy will be on the virtue of growth. So we have seen that his mantra has been taken well, appreciated by the region and also by the world at large. So because of that and the preparation in terms of infrastructure, for navigation, you have seen roads being refurbished, you have seen buildings, all those things are some of the things that Zimbabwe has been, aligning in line with the upcoming 44th SADC Head of States.
Maybe you could also just share with us what necessitates those sort of developments taking place, considering when our nation will be hosting the summit.
Obviously, like I said, for starters, peace and being a violent-free nation is one of the most significant areas that this nation offers to the SADC region. You also need to understand that Zimbabwe, from the startup of SADC, for 4 years now and going, we've been some of the chief founders of this, regional organization. So from that, you can only see and understand that Zimbabwe has been there all this time and it's been waiting for its time. Now it is Zimbabwe's time now to shine. It is also Zimbabwe's time to leverage on that and to show the world what Zimbabwe is made of. It is also coming at the perfect timing where enemy to none and friend to all mantra has been accepted in the global community. So the geopolitical environment of Zimbabwe has been so welcoming and it has been making people eager to say what more can Zimbabwe offer, and having this chairmanship position being given to our president is one of the most exhilarating and exciting events. And as young people in Zimbabwe, they should be open to see what is in store for them, for young people and for the regional youth in the SADC community.
All right, I look forward to expanding a bit later on the role of young people. But let's take a very close look at the role of the Second Republic and being able to also extend itself through its National Development Strategy, Vision 2030 mantra, but at the same time ensuring that it aligns to the dictates of the SADC regional bloc.
So if you look at the SADC, some of the SADC things to achieve, there is a goal of Vision 21 to 2030, then there is Vision 2050. So you can see that the National Development Strategy goal, which Zimbabwe has to eradicate poverty, to attain an upper middle income society by 2030, it's well in connection and aligning with the vision of the region. So by so doing, it makes it easy for Zimbabwe to take the baton and to spearhead these 16 member states within the trajectory that they're supposed to be running, and also making sure that the Zimbabwe's national interests are put at large, because by doing so, you can see that the people of Zimbabwe are going to benefit at large. The business sector and the private sector in the Zimbabwean community is going to benefit, and also these 16 member states, they can plug one or two things which they can implement within their respective countries, but more at large. The chairman position is the biggest seat in the SADC community. So you can see that being a leader in that, or being the chairperson in that, it enables one to be able to employ initiatives that can be of much significance and help to the 16 member states.
All right, now let's look at this year's SADC theme: promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustained economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC. So it seems very clearly from the theme that industrialization of the bloc is what is required as the collective bargaining for us to be able to develop. Maybe you could expand a bit more on that.
I think, like I said earlier on before, this could not come at a perfect timing for Zimbabwe and for people of the region. I mean, looking at Zimbabwe's educational system, we have aligned our education to fit the issue of industrialization. We now have got what we call Education 5.0, in which we say there is need for innovation. Innovation leads to industrialization. So this is capacity building. We are able to capacitate our people through education. By doing so, we can be able to achieve the goals, the end goal, which is industrialization. But you need to have the education being in the right respect. So the president has already walked that path to make sure that if people are capacitated by intellectual and academic, then they can be able to do what we are required. So having a SADC summit that speaks about industrialization, when the country has already aligned its education within that mantra, it gives me hope and joy to say we are in the right trajectory. What is now left is for the incoming chairperson to then implement the things that he already has in store for us, because we've already seen the highlights when you look at the Zimbabwean education and when you look at the Zimbabwean mantra to say how can we industrialize, how can we eradicate poverty, and how can we have industries that are now being made by our people. The explorations being done of the biogas and other minerals being found in Zimbabwe, they have to be done by local people, by the local companies. But how can they do that? This is the industrialization that we're talking about. This is what the summit wants to harness and to achieve the industrialization to attain economic growth.
Right. I know you're not an economist, but indulge me. Appreciating that industrialization will result in economic growth, the question then I would proffer is, which market are we looking to be able to serve as a region with our industrial growth? Are we looking to serve our own local markets? Or are we looking to be able to, in the perpetual direction that we've had so far as African countries, serve international markets?
Well, the African continent, if I can put it at large first, has always been seen as a potential market. We have seen the scramble of various trading blocs and countries now realizing that it is now and it is time for them to make sure that they have everything that they can in terms of grip within the African market. Coming back down to SADC as a region, we've got about 325 million potential market. This is the total population that you're going to find within the 16 member states, according from the last census which was done. So with 325 million people, you can be able to harness, to tailor-make products that are meant for either consumption, made for manufacturing, made for extraction within those particular population in member states. But more and large, we are going to have a capacity in terms of bargaining control as a region, as SADC. What can we offer to the continent? What can we offer to the world? What can we offer to each and everyone which wants the resources that we have? Because apart from other countries, I think Zimbabwe and South Africa, they've got some of the largest platinum deposits, and we recently discovered a lot of lithium deposits. So all these things are things that are to do with the economy. And the world being a globalized village, I can guarantee you that the market is already there. The issue is about tapping into. How do we tap into? There is need for policy formulation, free trade area, African free trade area. The things that make navigation of resources and these raw materials easy. We should be able to navigate from Windhoek in Namibia to come to Gauteng province in South Africa and to come to Harare in Zimbabwe without difficulty, so that the haulage and the logistics of it in terms of port entry, border entry, customs excise duties, all these things, and the standardization process should be able to be done and to be dealt with effectively without taking much time. In that way, if we put ICT in that and we've put complete policy that are able to complement the ideas that already exist, we can be able to harness economic growth.
Right. If you'll indulge me once again also, I did pick up an area that you I think the term you used was tap into. Yes, you said tap into. It seems as though that developing value addition channels and then also ancillary business models around some of our agri-based, mining-based, or traditional areas is what is then going to allow this industrialization drive to then be able to be beneficial to those who want to be able to offer service offerings. Yes.
Well, I believe this is heritage-based.
Sure.
You need to understand that whenever you're doing something, you have to tailor-make it to own specifics and to own strength. So as a region, our 16 member states, we share certain things that are common. If you go to Tanzania, they do so much to do with agriculture, subsistence agriculture, and a bit of commercial agriculture. It is within that understanding that we share common goals in mining, in agriculture, in extractive, in tertiary education, that we can say what policy, what ideas, what objectives can we put to say as 16 member states, as SADC, the chairperson is going to initiate that drive, that mantra for economic emancipation, for making sure that there is food sufficiency, because already with the drought and with some other natural disasters that we have experienced, El Nino, they did not just occur in one country. Mozambique was affected, Malawi was affected, Zimbabwe was affected, and other countries amongst others. So by doing so, we are going to tailor-make a robust platform, policy and initiative that synchronize well with the countries that are within the SADC member states.
Right. Now let's bring back another point that you touched on earlier on, which looks at bridging the divide. You brought in information communication technology as, if I understood you well, a key enabler to allow us to meet some of these demands. Where are we with being able to ensure that we do address the sustainability of that particular framework?
So as SADC, we do have to understand the nature of the globalized village.
Sure.
In terms of doing that, we also need to understand that we also belong to African Union, AU. Right. So some of the initiatives that are being run by African Union, Agenda 2063, it's about sustainable development.
Yes.
Sustainable development is frankly speaking, talks about the development and harnessing of achieving of things of today, but also putting into mind the significance of having the future youth and the future people to also be able to to benefit from the same initiatives. So whatever exploration, whatever initiatives that are being done, they have to be done sparingly in a way that we do not consume so much excess that the upcoming and the future do not have anything to consume on. So by doing so, the sustainable development agendas are some of the things that the SADC summit is going to focus on. That yes, we want to industrialize, yes, we want to improve economic growth and navigation, but we also have to do that putting into mind the Agenda 2063, which is what the African Union has put steps to say, how can you do that in terms of SDGs?
Right. Let's bring us back to our industrialization drive. Challenges that we're finding right now as a global collective, if we bring in the Paris Climate Agreement tied to the Kyoto Protocol, that they're ensuring that we must ensure we meet a net zero by 2050. Climate mitigation and sustainability, as you highlighted, being a key driver towards making sense of how we're going to industrialize as a region. Africa finds itself in a bit of a quagmire. How then does it grow its industrial process, but at the same time meet the high standard of sustainable requirements that the global north is imposing on the region? Your thoughts?
My thoughts, politically speaking, I would say that national interest always and should always come first. Sure. As a SADC region, the 16 member states, there are several things that we share in common. One of the first things that we share in common is the revolutionary mantra or the liberating effects that you have in these particular countries. The governments that are in these particular respective countries, much of them, they had to contribute to a liberation struggle.
Right.
So they understand the fundamentals of nation building. They understand that in some areas, we differ from other continents in terms of our industrialization mantra. We are in certain revolution of industrialization, which other continents went decades ago. So these pacts, agreements, and peace treaties, to some extent, they are supposed to be either ignored or supposed to be taken, but sparingly put into perspective the national interest of your country, because some of the things that you are required to do now, for instance, I'll talk about the energy sector. We've got a large deposit of coal in this country, and some of these agreements, they are to say do away with such energy, which is fossil fuels and things like that. But we're saying that, are we able to let go the large deposits of these minerals that we have? Perhaps we need to do that, but doing what? Sparingly. So like I said, the national interest is the one that we put forth first. And then we say, what is it in terms of nation building that we can do, putting into significance and into mind what the world as the global village wants to achieve, but also putting our national interest first. Because as a sovereign nation, as a sovereign regional bloc, we ought to put these things to, because we owe this to a common person in the streets who does not understand the implications of that.
Right. Eloquently put together there, and I'm looking forward to us expanding on a few more of those subject matters. I'm currently joined in studio by Mr. Wilbert Mzalawetu, who is also being able to give us some of the positions around SADC's industrialization drive, but more importantly, the lead up to the signing of the chairmanship of the SADC, of 44th SADC Summit, which will be taking place on the 17th of August. We'll take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with more. Stay tuned.
Tinokugamuchirai nemufaro pano pakurima center Bindura. Zita ndinonzi Pamela Jaini. Pano tinotengesa maproducts edu ekumunda anosanganisira ma-insecticides, ma-herbicides, ma-fungicides, ma-nematicides nema-fertilizers. Tinowana zvakare mishonga yemombe, yahuku uye chikafu chacho chehuku. Tinoti huyai pakurima center iri pedo nemi muwane zvose zvamungada nemitengo yakaderera. Kurima center, kurima kune mari.
Very warm welcome to you once again, and thank you so much for staying with us on this live current affairs broadcast of the 44th SADC Summit, which has finally made its culmination in Zimbabwe. A lot of preparations have been taking place during the course of the year leading up to tomorrow, where the signing of the chairmanship by His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa will be taking place. The importance of this, of course, acknowledging the role that Zimbabwe will be playing as a chair for the regional bloc during the course of the year. That also speaking to the imperative direction that the regional body is taking in being able to meet its industrialization agenda. Also reminding you, we'll be giving you the updates of the arrival of various heads of state at the airport, Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport to be precise, where we'll be joined by Butler and Olin, who will be giving us the arrivals of the various heads of state. Four presidents having arrived during the period of yesterday, and we expect more to be coming in as we progress. And then also currently taking place is the committee of ministers at Mount Hampton. Currently the closed discussions taking place, and we'll be also joined by Justin Mahlahla, who will be giving us that update a bit later on. Expanding on our discussions here in the studio, I'm joined by Mr. Wilbert Muzarawetu, who is a political analyst, sharing, of course, some of the directions that the organ will be taking as we progress. Now, I'm appreciating, of course, some of the areas that we're touching on earlier on with regards to the industrial drive within the region. The fourth industrial revolution is a term that very loosely has been thrown around, and it seems as though that the African continent, in catching up to that, has a lot to be able to address. But that young group, which is part of that 350 million that you referred to earlier on, speaks to the future of the continent, which is where we see Agenda 2063 coming from. How are we going to bridge that divide of the fourth industrial revolution, but at the same time, the progression that we're taking as the African continent to also dictate our own terms on our own conditions?
I think it's very important for the young people to be able to be emancipated through education. Okay. Education plays a pivotal role in highlighting where we are coming from and where we are hoping to go. Sure. But not only education, there is proper selection of education that has to be given within the youth of various countries in the SADC region. There is ideological education, which is premised on knowing the significant hidden gems or ideas that have always to be followed. Because at the end of the day, in a global village, capitalism soars high. The ones who have the means of production takes more. You've got banks that are offering loans, but they're taking resources, or they're taking buildings, they're taking infrastructure as collateral, and then those loans that are supposed to be paid back, they accrue what we call interest rate. So with education, you can educate a young person to understand the repercussions of taking free money, because it's not free. It's coming at a cost, but you probably don't realize the cost today when you're being given. So that's why I'm speaking of ideological education. So like I said, the 16 member states, they've tried to put what we call, in Zimbabwe, we've got what we call Chitepo School of Ideology. Right. It's not only partisan based, but it is historically important for young people to know where we are coming from. This brings in the idea that you mentioned about the Industrial Revolution. So it talks you and makes you understand what happened in the past, and what's happening now, and what's going to happen in the future. By doing so, we are also aligning them to understand what we call by sustainable development. We are understanding and we are making them aware of the need to do things sparingly. If it's extraction of minerals, if it's value chain, how can we be able to cross-pollinate ideas within the 16 member states? But education being the foundation of bridging the gap between what they have and what they do not have and what they wish to have.
Right. I did pose this question earlier on to my previous guest, Madam Abigail Mpambi, and I would like to also pose the same to you. A challenge that Africa continues to find itself in is the gift and the curse of diversity. richness in diversity is what allows us to be able to be the vibrant nation that we are. The average African nation having a plethora of languages that are spoken, many different cultural expressions to identify themselves. And the challenge then coming up is how then do you bring a diverse collective to have a common goal? We see how SADC does that for this part of the region, how the AU does that for the continental body. But then how then do you address the ideological references that you're making to become the common position held by the future generation in a common understanding for the region?
I would like to believe that more of educational exhibition, more of where we have countries being able to visit each other on business-related initiatives, educational-related initiatives. So we've got exchange programs that we should do. I believe that SADC should have more of young and youth. There's also the youth forum, which SADC has been hammering much on, and would like to see, now that we've got a very listening and caring president who is the incoming chairperson. You can see if you come back to Zimbabwe, you see that in our constitution, we did then find where we implored things to do with youth quota. Right. It's a consciousness that our president had to say young people are making the bulk of this population. They have to be involved in decision making. How can we involve them in decision making? Then 10 seats were set aside, one for each province. It's a step in the right direction to accommodate and to say, young people, you are required to put an input at the table of politics and economic initiatives. So if that can be done also at SADC level, where you've got youth forums being financed, being taken seriously in terms of outreach programs, in terms of exchange programs. Because when we say exchange programs, visiting makes you appreciate what the other country has to offer. So the free trade area, if it can be put without documents, if I should say documentless, right. Like what we are having a triplicate agreement that being in talk of Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Mozambique. So these are some of the initiatives that enables young people to understand different cultures and environments. Once you're exposed to different environments and cultures, it enables you to see life from a different angle. Right. Because I believe so that as a SADC region, we do not have much of geographical separation, which is difficult to navigate about. You can be on a bus from here to Tanzania up to Namibia, So these are areas that needs to be diversified, but we, as a region, we have to play more in economical access, in borderless borders, which allows people to navigate in between, but putting into perspective standardization of what do we accept as being standard. Right. So if we've got one standard within the 16 member states, it allows one to plan from Zimbabwe and understand that even if I'm to go to Windhoek, even if I'm to go to Angola, I am going to find the same things that I have here being the same things that are required for me to do a particular business initiatives in that particular country also. Right.
You raise an interesting future perspective of what the SADC region would look like, it being borderless. And I will get to that shortly. But I do want to bring you back to an area that you touched on with regards to the youth and quotas. The concept of the quota system is to be able to initially allow a step towards inclusion. Right. The effects of inclusion are resultant of the apparatus that which is given to those who are included. Are the young people who are meeting the prerequisite quotas sufficiently capacitated to fulfill their role within the Southern African development community?
For starters, I think the most important thing is to have the idea about inclusivity. Sure. We start with the idea of we want to include young people in the SADC region. From the idea, we want to implement. From the implementation, we then have to make a research to say the ones that have met the prerequisites or the ones that have been included, are they able to meet the expected goals? But the first two major steps are the idea and the implementation. Then we can then do a research in terms of are they delivering, are they able to harness what they've been exposed to them. But I'd rather not speak large at length of what young people are capable of doing,
Right.
or those that have been put in circumstances of, in those particular circumstances, are they able to do that? But I want to speak much of implementation.
Okay.
If we can have more of those same ideas that we talk about, youth forums, youth inclusion, being implemented, then we can be able to say of the beneficiaries of these particular initiatives and policy, this is what they've done in the last 5 to 10 years. By doing so, we can be able to channel to say, what is it then that we can do? What is it then that we can put to increase their potential, to increase their productivity in terms of them delivering what they're supposed to be delivering? But like I said, I need us to focus on the idea and implementation, because at the initial stages, these are the most important things. Because if we rush to say, what are they doing, or those that have been exposed to that, are they able to deliver? We then restrict, we then put a certain narrative that we are particular about the results and the outcomes. But we're not particular about the results and outcomes. We are particular about the significance of the inclusivity of the bulk of the population of these 16 member states.
All right. Well, I'll accept that for the valid contribution that it holds. And I'm also appreciating, once again, we're speaking about the borderless vision that currently has been applied by President of Botswana, Mokgweetsi. Is that how does a step like that then lead to what we hope or what we expect to be the result of a borderless SADC?
A borderless SADC is possible, very much possible, because if you look at Zimbabwe's trading partners, it's within this same region that we've got South Africa, we've got Botswana, we've got Mozambique. Zimbabwe being a landlocked country, we've got access to our port through Mozambique, we've got access to port through South Africa, we've got access to port through Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So already, if you look at it on paper, it's happening. If you look at it in reality, there are certain things that we just need to tweak of a free trade area or of a less restrictive trade area. How can that be done? It can be done by having countries that are purposively saying, we want to let those nationals be able to come into our country, being able to do business in our country with ease of business, by not having particular certain documents, by not having certain restrictive barriers to make them, navigate within. So that proclamation made by the Botswana president, it's one of the things that we will hope all African SADC region states can reciprocate, to say, if Botswana can proclaim something which is of significance in terms of productivity, economic growth, amongst other initiatives, also us, we can do the same.
My challenge with that particular area, and I'm hoping you can give me a better appreciation, is that it goes back to your first point of ideology. That it seems as though we're giving a practical application to an ideological position, that surely we are the same people and we shouldn't be limiting ourselves based on a border. So that's an ideological position that this practical application 100%. Has come on board. However, to then find everyone, the collective, let me put that, the collective joining this ideological application, I wouldn't say there's resistance, but we do have our challenges. And how do we get around those particular challenges? Beitbridge border post is a very clear position that has been taken. Economic migration to South Africa from Zimbabwe. South Africa having a clear position of being able to give an exemption to Zimbabweans who are there. So we can appreciate that there's ways and means in which SADC leaders are finding a way to fix the challenges that we have. But then how do we address the ideological application to a collective position?
I think my idea of implementation of this is, for starters, look at the Minister of Finance.
Sure.
The Minister of Industry and Commerce, for instance, or one who fits those particular portfolios in the different 16 member states. If these people are put in the same room like what they're currently doing right now, they can be able to give you a balance of trade receipts of how much they get from another country which is within the SADC region. How much do they get in terms of trade, in terms of export and import within the other countries? By so doing, you end up understanding that those particular people can come to a conclusion and understanding that we all benefit each other in our different ways. With the resources that we have in our different ways, we can benefit each other. How so can we then make it so difficult to benefit more from each other by creating a border? We need to find purpose to make sure that we do ease of business.
Right.
Perhaps we won't start by scrapping the borderless, but perhaps we start by having a standardization, customs exercise, standard, in which everyone knows that this is the standard for the SADC region. Everybody knows that this same platform, this same weight, this same standard is being followed within this 16 member states. We start with something which can be standard, and then we hope and we appreciate that the benefits of these initiatives will allow more heads of states to say, let's align ourselves to this initiative that have been started by particular ABCD countries.
Right. I couldn't agree with you anymore on that particular point there, but I would love to be able to get your closing remarks with regards to what we can expect from the transition currently taking place, along with the arrivals of various heads of state.
The SADC region is one of the most peace-loving areas. It's one of the most stable regions. Zimbabwe having an incoming chairperson speaks volumes about the capacity and the capability of the president of Zimbabwe. It also is a place and a window to showcase what Zimbabwe has to offer.
Right.
We've got a lot of heritage and tourism-based initiatives that we can offer to the world. We've got one of the renowned United Nations heritage sites, such as the Victoria Falls arrival. It showcases the capability that this nation has to offer, and the amount of potential that Zimbabwe sits on, the amount of raw materials and resources that Zimbabwe can benefit by having access to the market, regardless of the restrictions and the sanctions that Zimbabwe has been having over the last decades and the isolation that it has been having. You can see that there is deliberate measures by the new dispensation to say, how can we bring Zimbabwe back to the map?
Right.
By so bringing Zimbabwe to the map, the right policies have been given, the right mantras have been given. It has been about foreign policy which attracts foreign direct investment. So by doing so, I believe that this summit can be able to harness the gem that Zimbabwe has been locking itself to the rest of the world, and can brim and gloom so that the world can see what a gem Zimbabwe is. And hopefully, with the leadership and the chairperson of the incoming chairperson, it can also be out there saying that his capabilities have transformed Zimbabwe, and they can also transform this region to be a region which can be a force to reckon with what it has to offer through industrialization and through ideological orientation, which speaks volume to the nature of who we are as a people within the 16 member states. The spirit of Ubuntu should always be there, and we would like to see a more free trade area. Within these 16 member states, which can culminate to say other countries can take initiatives, accept, and also appreciate.
That's it. Mr. Mzarawetu, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here today. We definitely look forward to speaking to you again in the future as you share more insights within the region.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
All right, I was joined there by Mr. Wilbert Mzarawetu, who's a political analyst, sharing a lot of his sentiments around the direction that the 44th SADC Summit would be taking, but more importantly, industrialization as a key sustainable enabler. Looking at more programming that we would be having during the course of this period. We also had the BADEA engagements, and we'll be having looking at SADC's BADEA exhibition, which took place and was held at the Harare International Conference Center during the course of this week. Let's have a look at some of those engagements.
The SADC BADEA Forum continues here at the Harare International Conference Center. It's running alongside the SADC 44th Summit of Heads of State and Government, as well as the SADC Council of Ministers that opened yesterday. But at this juncture, I'm joined by Africa Investment Leaders Forum and Awards. Perhaps you can tell us your name and what you do at this organization, sir.
Yeah, my name is Mr. Mukuku, Kudzai Mukuku. I'm the founder and CEO of the Africa Investment Leaders Forum. Yes.
What exactly does your organization do?
We are a platform that gathers all key stakeholders when it comes to investment across Africa. So your investors and those who need investment. So we are the bridge that we are the link in between. Yeah, I can say that.
Now with the SADC 44th Summit of Heads of State and Government underway, and we saw the Industrialization Week where investors were also participating, and now we have this forum that is bringing together the Arab Bank of Economic Development as well as the SADC regional bloc. What role do you think you will play in this discourse?
Okay, so basically we are a platform for conversation. Our theme this year is cultivating sustainable ecosystems for investment in Africa. Not just Africa, but SADC now that we are in SADC. So we are here to foster those relationships so that our platforms can be richer in terms of the investments, investors, as well as those who need investment. Yes.
So you have a database of investments,
yes,
investors, as well as those who need investments.
Yes,
tell us about the major projects that you are looking forward to secure funding for.
All right, so we focus basically on all mainstream investment avenues, your mining, agriculture, technology, energy, all those. So we're not limited to any. We accommodate all projects, all sectors that require investment.
Mm-hmm. Are there any that come to mind that you'd want to mention in terms of the sectors, whether it's in agriculture, as you said, in mining? Are there any particular projects that are stalling or that are waiting for funding, for this funding now?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll say this. We have the man with the biggest data center in Africa, and we're also having a project that is actually being negotiated. There's a Nigerian man who has who wants to manufacture mobile phones in Africa for the first time, and they want to do it here in Zimbabwe. So those are some of the projects that are in the pipeline.
Let's look at your demographics in terms of the database that you have. How many youths perhaps, or the numbers of young people who constitute those who are looking for investment that you would want to represent and to assist to get funding today?
All right. 35% of are under 50, and about 90% are women as well. Yeah, definitely. But most of our funding needers are in West Africa and Southern Africa. Yeah, basically that's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes,
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The Miners for ED organization is also here at the SADC BADEA Forum, among the many exhibitors who are showcasing their goods and services. And I'm joined by the spokesperson, Donald Gotora. Donald, tell us more about Miners for ED. What are you into?
Sure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you about what Miners for ED is for. Miners for ED is an acronym which actually stands for Miners for Economic Development. So it's a body cooperative and association which is created and a specialist in contributing to our government's vision of 2030 in creating a middle to upper income economy, through our contributions in mining.
Okay, so you actually are taking part at this exhibition, so to speak, where we are seeing the Arab Bank for Economic Development partnering SADC. Where do you see yourself within that matrix? Where do you come in as Miners for ED?
As Miners for ED, we come in to be a link, with the linkment between the investors and also those who want their mines or mining activities to be invested for. So we come in as a link, we advise, and we share with them exactly what the needs are for the communities that want to do mining. And when we say the community, we're speaking at local level, which are the artisanal miners, at small scale mining level, or even at large scale mining level. So we're there to be more as the linkmen and also as enablers, such that mining investment is actually takes place easier, and that the time that is used to implement or this mining investment is actually short. So we work with different organizations within this local community, which is within our country. We work with SADEC. We also work with the local communities, the chiefs, and also local miners, aspiring miners, or whomsoever has an interest to mine or to process minerals within our country, which is Zimbabwe.
But now that this is a SADC event, do you have prospects of penetrating the SADC bloc? Do you have partnerships? Do you have friends outside of Zimbabwe that you work with? Do you also have maybe funding that is coming outside of Zimbabwe?
Sure. About the funding particularly, I would say there isn't much as yet funding that has actually come up. But we're actually creating and settling and creating and enabling an environment and process and systems that would actually make it easier for the funding to come. Now, if we look talking at this SADC summit, we're here. We've been invited to exhibit what exactly we do, and the other leaders are going to come here and they're actually going to see our exhibits. We're going to explain for them the different minerals that are found in Zimbabwe, where they are found in Zimbabwe, how we can mine it, and the type of investment that is actually aspired for as miners for it. Yes.
I see your organization looks quite youthful. It's also young in terms of how, when it was created. What are the demographics like in terms of your membership?
Sure. Well, I can say there is everyone in Miners for ED, but however, the more numbers on the demographics are more biased towards the youth. Because the youth, in terms of our population, are actually more than the older generations. So we attract everyone, and also those young miners, those young entrepreneurs who want to make business and who also want to make business through these mining activities. So you'd find that in most of our communities and also in the demographics of the country, youths are actually more than the older people. However, to say that there are actually no older people or the older generation would be misinforming people. I can say, as you see here, there are actually some mature people who are our elders, who guide us, who advise us, and also who are the part of the founders and the pillars of this Miners for ED.
Mm-hmm. So what does the future look like for Miners for ED? Where exactly are you going?
The future looks very bright. I can say if you look at the geopolitical and also the other happenings that are happening globally in terms of Zimbabwe, and also in terms of the efforts that have been made by the presidents of Zimbabwe, which resulted in some of the historical obstacles that were set against the country being dropped, meaning that markets which are actually not only in Zimbabwe, but markets which are outside the country, which is Europe, which is the US, which is other countries, can actually now come into Zimbabwe and invest into mining. It's just a few months ago by which some of the things and happenings were announced. So, and not all problems that we're facing, small-scale miners, particularly in Zimbabwe, the mining industry, can be solved overnight. But through our efforts that we're making as Miners for ED, connecting people from the local people to the global people to SADC, as now we're at SADC here, we believe that our efforts will actually produce more. I think within the phase of the next 5 years, we aspire that our local miners would be equal or better even than the biggest miners, or at least be positioned to the extent that they can properly say we've got a tier 1 run mine which can be invested outside. So we actually consult and advise our miners and also those aspiring miners and Miners for ED on the best practices of mining, and more particularly in this case, sustainable mining development. Yes, and when we're saying sustainable mining development, we're saying mining activities and processes that not only empower the communities and empower us Zimbabweans and empower whichever miner, but also that leave our environment safe. And that also, when we say environment, is saying whichever land users or stakeholders of the land will also contribute and use that land without it being destroyed or compromised by mining activities.
Thank you, Donald. So we are here at Empowered Women. This is perhaps, as I understand, an organization led by women. Tell us about what you represent and the kind of products that you have.
Okay, Empowered Women, as the name says itself, we are here to empower the women, whether you're an academic or you're in business. The idea is to create a hub for you where you excel, grow beyond your imagination, and become the best version of yourself. In terms of the offerings that we have, we have what we call the Wellness Wednesday. It's one product that we created where we bring in experts in different industries. Like, for example, we recently had William Sachiti, and he had to go all in on AI because we have not yet really embraced it as women. So we needed somebody up there with the expertise to come in. We also believe in strategic partnerships, and we also had a partnership with UNICEF. So our women can now go beyond their educational imagination with UNICEF and massive discounts under empowered women. And we also have networking, we have collaborations, and we have funding opportunities as well.
We are here, this is the BADEA SADC forum. What opportunities are you looking forward to getting from this interaction with other exhibitors?
Okay, because we are a trust, we believe that your network is your net worth. So the interactions and the connections that we're going to get here, we're going to have to use them to build more strategic partnerships and funding for different projects that we actually have lined up ahead for the organization to keep growing.
So have you worked with BADEA before, or are there any other development partners within the SADC region?
We haven't. This is going to be the first and of many, of course, to come. Yes.
Thank you very much and all the best. So at this juncture here at the SADC BADEA Forum, I am joined by Zimbabwe's ambassador to Zambia, Madam Charity Charamba. Ma'am, welcome. We see you are here, you are representing Zimbabwe in Zambia, but we want to find out, what does the SADC BADEA Forum mean for you?
This SADC BADEA Forum means quite a lot to us as the ambassador to Zambia. You may be aware that Zambia and Zimbabwe, we do have a joint industrialization MOU where the two countries are supposed to build an agro-industrial park, and it also requires some financing. So looking at the bank and the purpose of the bank, that they want to finance some of the projects in the SADC region, it's a welcome development for us, and we feel this will go a long way in enhancing the relations between our two nations, Zambia and Zimbabwe. And again, we have the COMESA in Zambia, and the COMESA Secretariat is based in Zambia, and we are also in SADC. Zambia, as you may be aware, is the largest trading partner with Zimbabwe. So there are a lot of projects that the two countries can benefit from if BADEA is going to fund most of those projects.
We understand BADEA and SADC have been partners for a while, but today we witnessed the signing of a memorandum of agreement that looks into the many infrastructural development programs that will be undertaken and funded by the bank. What particular projects perhaps do you have in mind that you are looking forward to being funded and to being developed within the region?
In my case, I'm looking at the agro-industrial park. That is a project which really needs funding. So the signing in ceremony is quite a welcome development in that funding will be available. And we know it is being, it is under UNECA, but there are prospects that such funding will make the project a success.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm now joined by Zimbabwe's ambassador to Botswana, that's Ambassador Mkono Weshuro. Ambassador, welcome to this program.
Thank you very much.
Now, this SADC BADEA forum that is underway here, what is its significance, particularly for you as our representative to Botswana?
It is significant because what we have been doing is to motivate for funding of our project under what we call the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, RISDIP in short, for projects that are running from 2020 to 2030. And we have tasked the Secretariat to look for funding outside our traditional partners. We have been relying on the same international corporate partners. So we are very happy that BADEA has come in, which is the bank, the Arab bank, which is coming in to make sure that most of our industrialization, trade, and infrastructure projects are funded so that we can move our agenda going forward.
This is an African bank. What is its significance in terms of perhaps the conditions of funding? Is it any different from the traditional partners that you have mentioned?
We are hopeful that their conditions are going to be more favorable, almost similar to the ones that are given by Afrexim Bank, if you are aware, the one that is based in Egypt. It's an Arab bank, and we are happy that, as you know, the Arabs and Africa are coming together, and we are sure that they are much better than the other traditional international corporate partners in terms of their likeness and in terms of their favoritism to African projects.
Now, in terms of the exhibition that is taking place here, we see a lot of products, some from the SME sector and so forth. What products is Zimbabwe exporting to Botswana? What services is Zimbabwe sharing with Botswana?
The Zimbabwean services that are very prominent in Botswana is basically in the insurance sector. We are benefiting a lot from them, from veterinary products, because as you know, Botswana is well endowed in beef. So we do a lot of veterinary products from them, but we also are helping them in pharmaceuticals, because we have actually people who manufacture pharmaceuticals here and export to Botswana. So in the medical field, we do some exports. The education field as well, if you are aware, a number of Botswana are schooling in Zimbabwe. So in that area of intellect and intellectual sharing, we are doing quite a lot together as two countries.
Ambassador, thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great. So one of the many growing small businesses or small enterprises in Zimbabwe and across the region in SADC is car importation. And here I have our Hamad Motors, who are into car importation. Tell us about what the business entails.
Okay, we are Al-Ahmad Motors Zimbabwe. We specialize in vehicle importation, car shipping from anywhere in the world. We are B-Forward accredited. We are a gold member of B-Forward, so we are able to offer massive discounts. If you saw a price on the website for B-Forward, we can sell at a discounted price. And then we allow installments, payments, duty processing we do as well. We can collect your car from any car port, whether you did not buy from us, but we can offer the services for that. And then we also offer rent to buy and quick clearance.
This is a growing business in Zimbabwe and in Africa, and it means sometimes you need funding. And here at the BADEA SADC Forum, what are you looking forward to?
Okay. We are looking forward to investors, because when we offer the payment plan system, we are the ones who fund your car. Let's say your car is costing 3,000. We offer a service whereby you can pay 1.5, and then the other balance, we are the ones who cater for it. So we allow our clients to pay installments, but we are the ones who fund the business. So we are looking forward for investors to cater for that, especially the big cars ranging above 5,000. We may need funding, yes.
So do you have a clientele that extends beyond Zimbabwe?
Yes, we can import anywhere in SADC. For example, we also import for our clients who are in South Africa through the Durban port. We can do the same for Namibia, we can do the same for Zambia or any other country in the SADC region.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we are meeting with a number of exhibitors here, and among them are these elegant ivy that are into construction and interior design. And we want to find out more in terms of the services they offer and what exactly they are looking forward to here at this SADEC BADEA forum. I understand you are into interior design, you are into construction. What exactly do you do?
Thank you, Justin. We are into construction and interior design. That's our main business. We started out as interior designers, and then we branched into construction as well. So we are into civil construction, your houses, your commercial properties, renovations of houses, renovations of commercial properties as well. Yeah.
This forum, the SADEC BADEA forum, what does it mean for your business or in terms of the services that you offer?
Well, it's an amazing platform for us. We have been awarded an opportunity to exhibit and also talk to the delegates and guests who are coming. We see it as an amazing opportunity for us to showcase our products, our services. As you can see, we have a display here that is showing as well what we have done, the work that we have done. So it's a very good platform for our exposure as a company.
Do you have markets outside Zimbabwe in the SADC region?
We are looking forward to maybe encroaching into South Africa and Zambia, our neighboring companies, but currently we are just doing local projects.
Okay. Now let's talk about the essence of this forum. It's about securing funding for projects. What in terms of funding mechanisms or systems are you looking forward to? Are you looking to get loans? Are you looking to get funding for projects? What exactly are you looking forward to?
Of course. Cash flow is our biggest problem as a small company that is also coming up. So we are looking forward to having an opportunity to avail ourselves to the loans and the opportunities that are coming through with this project that is here.
And in terms of partnerships with other like-minded organizations within the region?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we are very open to partnerships and collaborations. Of course, we have seen quite a number of companies here are into construction. So we are also looking forward to engaging them and networking and exchanging contacts, exchanging ideas, and then we can also see how we can move forward together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Ever heard of baked beans in a box? It's right here at Monty's. I am joined by Alice, who is part of the marketing team here, and also they are part of the many exhibitors that are participating at the BADEA SADEC Forum. Alice, welcome, and tell us more about the baked beans in a box.
Okay, thank you very much. So, this is Monty's baked beans in a box, our very own new baby, which we introduced last year. So the interesting part about this beans is that it's very conducive, family environment, it's safe. Unlike tinned beans, whereby when you open it, it's no longer safe for children. This one you can open it freely without no hassle. And people in boarding schools can take this package, and we have been having so many people who have been buying it for their children who are in boarding schools. And the best part about the baked beans in a box at Monty's, you go about 3 days without putting in a fridge. As long as it's under a cool place or fridge, you can go for 3 days. So you can give this to your baby, your ECD, your 2-year-old who crash, mwanangu, oh Monty's beans, where achachekwa neti, nah, that drama theory is simple. This is the safest beans, and this packaging is ever the best to be invented in Africa.
I can see you're happy, you're excited about this product. I am excited as well. Where do you get the raw beans that you use for this?
So, we get these beans from local farmers all along Zimbabwe. We make them produce these beans, and the typical beans we use for this baked beans is called haricot beans. So basically, we are just supporting local farmers, and also this is a local thing, proudly made in Zimbabwe. So we are more, we are more stepping in the innovation role, industrialization, supporting our local farmers, and sometimes we might run out short, and we can get other postage from other countries who import for us, the likes of Tanzania.
And in terms of the market?
the market took to Shire could Twitter say we are always in demand. People are always asking because we issue out about 40,000.
Do you sell in Zimbabwe only, or you have markets outside as well?
For the meantime, we're in Zimbabwe only, and people wanna like import from us. We are doing that as well. We are also open for business as well. So yes, so we are taking that.
Thank you so much, Alice. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
So it is interesting to note that the call for locals to be able to look inward and also to begin processing of our own traditional foods and fruits is being heeded. Here at One Line Baobab Foods, we are joined by a lady who is championing the processing of mawuyu fruit into different products. We want to find out more. Your name, ma'am, and what exactly are the products that you have here today?
Okay, my name is Mary Motsiwe Gota. I do baobab products. Mainly, I do the baobab juice. I do the baobab sweets. I do the coffee. I also do the pulp. Yes.
These are a wide variety of products. What are their nutrition benefits?
Generally, the baobab fruit is highly nutritious. It has got almost every nutrient, be it calcium for our strong bones and teeth, iron, especially from the coffee. There's a lot of iron in it, which fights those people who suffer with high blood pressure. You can take the baobab coffee. It fights against cholesterol in the body, thereby allowing your blood flow to flow nicely in the body. And we also have vitamin C for colds and flu. If you you are normally attacked by flus and colds, you can take much of the baobab pulp, and that same pulp we are using it to make the juice, the baobab juice. So we sweeten it. We put a little bit of milk, but we put more of the pulp.
I see.
Yes.
You even have sweets.
Yes.
Yeah, children love sweets. Yeah, for the kids.
For the kids, we've got these sweets. These sweets, they are nice. We flavor them in assorted colorings and assorted flavorings. They're also good for the kids. Even when you are at work, you can just put it in your office. You can just have the sweets as well.
So you are here at this BADEA SADC forum.
Yes.
This is a funding forum, so to speak. Are you looking forward to securing any funding towards your business, perhaps to grow it? What exactly are you looking forward to?
Exactly. I'm looking for some funding, maybe to expand the business, to grow the business, to make it globally. Yes.
Do you have offices outside of Zimbabwe?
Not yet, but we've got offices here in Zimbabwe. Yes.
And in terms of partnerships, have you worked, or do you think you are going to be working with others in the SADC region?
Yes, partnerships. I'm welcoming partnerships because we want to grow this brand. We want, like you see, One Line Baobab Foods. We are going to introduce more foods, more products, more recipes, but including the baobab pulp. Yeah. So we are looking for the growth of the company. We are expecting it to get maybe more investors from the SADC region or even globally. Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
From Africa Union, ECOSOC, and my class is Rural Agriculture and Economic Affairs. And we partnered with the government through the Foreign Affairs, where we are working with farmers in all the 10 provinces, especially women who are into horticulture as well as Uchengetambudzi, Wukungu, and we pick my individuals who are doing very well. Wakatanga from grassroots level, and they even opened my companies like Nema Chickens. He started donate more, put Reserva. Now you've got a big company, and you've got the women who are into horticulture, who have brought different products, and we are assisting them. Agricultural expertise. They get trainings, they get seed. We partner them nema seed houses, and then they get to we are helping them actually through boreholes, through the government, through the Africa Union. Then they get the irrigation, like drip irrigation and solar board and solar irrigation system. So that what we want is that the woman should stand firm.
We are happy to have this opportunity. I'm doing these fascinators, the Zulu attires for standing for different cultures.
Who do you sell to? Do you have markets outside of Zimbabwe?
Yes, we have the customers from all our SADC countries because they are giving us the opportunities to go and exhibiting to Tanzania, to Botswana and Zambia. We are doing all the shows there. When they have the shows, where they are exhibiting their things, they invite us. They are giving us funds to do all these things.
This funding is coming from BADEA?
Yes.
Do you have a factory where you make these? Do you use your hands? Is this homemade? Do you make them at home?
Most of them I make them from home. And I'm teaching also these little children. This boy can make this. He can design. He can design even this Ankara thing. He can do. And we are using also machines to make these skates, and we pleat them and we sew them with the machine. But for this we need only thread, scissors and needle only, and the material. There will be no machine work this one. Okay. No machine work.
Thank you so much. So what's the name of your organization?
It's called Bless Arts. Bless Arts, yes.
Thank you. You are blessed.
Yes, I'm blessed.
Okay.
Thank you so much there to Justin Mahlahla, having had, of course, engaged with quite a few of the exhibitors during the SADC Industrialization Week, and also the BADEA engagements, which are looked at extending regional integration also through some of the economic financial instruments available to the various countries. Aptly joined by Farai Mungazi, Fun Times. I'm excited to be looking forward to some of the arrivals of various heads of state.
Hayi vele asakwanisi. And then nibembukela nje akade sukuplaya khathesi ukuthi Zimbabwe is open for business.
Yes.
Khangela ukuthi what thina siproducana. Ngithande ibeans leziya eziphakathi kwe-cardbox, you know.
Very innovative, yeah.
Kudala sasitshela ukuthi ibeans kumele uzivule then 30 seconds kumele uzikhiphila. But now innovation. Sikhuluma ngokusekelwa kwemicabango emitsha. Wabuya umuntu wacabanga ukuthi hayi asifakeni phakathi kwe-cardbox. It's safer for abantwana njengoba lo usisi lwana kade ekhuluma.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore there. But at the same time, also, we are looking forward to Justin Mahlahla, who will be giving us the update all the way in Mount Hampton, where all the engagements will be taking place. Of course, the various heads of state making their way there tomorrow. For the official signing of the chairmanship by Zimbabwe. But currently we do have the Committee of Ministers, the Troika organ, which will be having its engagements there currently. Then we'll also be listening in to the arrivals of the heads of state at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, where we're joined by Olene and Butler.
Sisatsho njalo ukuthi kule mihlangano eminingi eqhutshwayo, you know, kulo mhlangano futhi okhangelana ukuyenda kwabantwana besebancane. Kumele kume khona lokusetshenziswa kwabantwana amankazana. Amankazana kumele athuthuke. Uhulumende wesibili usenelise ukuthi aphe amathuba inhlelo ezijiyeneyo ehlose ukuthuthukisa abantu besifazana baphiwe amandla ezonotho. Because mostly ungakhangela abesifazana abahlukuluzwayo kabe kuvela kundaba yokuthi abala lutho lokubamba. Kodwa uhulumende wesibili usekhuthaza ukuthi hayi kumele sisebenze. Kumele recently kwaba lokuphiwa kwembuzi nga inhlanganiso Young Women for ED. You know, khona lokhu kuyathuthukisa abantu besifazana. Uzaba lakho okuyenza. And then awusuze ube lengqondo yokuthi hayi mana ngihlalele lokho ndokho ngihlukuluzwa. Because already uyenza something.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore, Farai, especially the inclusion aspect rather that His Excellency has brought in speaks monumentously to the role that the Second Republic has played. Now, also just giving you a brief appreciation for those of you who may have just joined us. Of course, various heads of state did arrive yesterday at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, extending to those arrivals. We can also look forward to more of those arriving during the course of the day. And the significance of that, of course, that all these heads of state will be leading towards the signing of the chairmanship that will be taking place in Mount Hampton. We had a few guests earlier on during the course of the program sharing with us at great length some of the prerequisite requirements that SADEC will be putting forward for the signing of the chairmanship tomorrow. But at the same time, also the current engagements which are taking place at Mount Hampton. We'll be looking at the various ministers, that being the Committee of Ministers, touching on how they can make their recommendations and contributions towards the SADC summit. Yesterday we had Lesotho as a Prime Minister arriving, and the significance of that arrival speaks to the first head of state who made his way in. That's His Excellency Tsokwane Matakane, who was received by the Home Affairs Minister, Honorable Kazembe Kazembe.
Yeah, sikhuluma ngomhlangano we-SADC sibona ukuthi indikimba ihambelana lalokho okukhulunywa nguhulumende wethu wesibili. Education 5.0 model ekhuthaza ukuthi kube lokusekelwa kwemicabango, abantu basebenzise lokho abakuthola ema-coalition ukuthi baqalise ezinye izinto o baqalise ezinye inhlelo eziphathisa ukuthi umphakathi uthole usizo.
Yeah, definitely the help that will be brought forward through the engaged relationships speak volumes to the steps that the SADC body is taking. And we did highlight earlier on that we will be giving you up to the hour updates of the various flights of heads of state which would be arriving at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, and the significance of that, of course, all leading to His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa also extending to his role and function as the chairperson of the SADC region. Now, the role of the chairperson is to oversee the highest level of governance within the structures of SADC. Zimbabwe has played a very significant role in shaping the region's developmental agenda, also contributing to the bloc's growth and prosperity. Now, over the years, Zimbabwe has had several leadership positions within SADC, including chair of some of its troikas and also chair of the summit itself. Now, the summit began, of course, as we highlighted, with the Industrialization Week, extending further to many other side engagements leading up, of course, to the summit.
Kulabo abasanda kuxhumana nathi sikhuluma silipha ngama owenzakalayo ku SADC imhlangano eqhutshwayo eSADC njalo silitshengisa okwakusenzakala ku SADC Industrialization Week lapho sibona khona ukuthi iZimbabwe ngempela is open for business, kulokulungiswa kwempahla ezichiyeneyo, kulokuthuthukiswa kwemisebenzi echiyeneyo phakathi kwele Zimbabwe njalo engunanzeleleyo Farai ngibone ukuthi kulabantu besifazana abaningi abaphumileyo betshengisa bebukisa abakwenzayo.
Yeah, quite a few of them also showing their work that they're doing, but at the same time also being included in the economic agenda. Now, what we'll be doing is we'll be giving you a rundown of some of the public engagements that were held during the course of the week. But in the meantime, let's listen in to Kurtley Gwindy's frolicking in and around the city of Harare as he was speaking to various individuals around their ideas and thoughts of what SADC is. Let's have a listen.
Hello viewers and welcome to it. Yes, it's a bright and shiny day coming to you from Harare, Zimbabwe, where we are seeing the preparedness, readiness, as well as excitement around the SADC summit that is going to be happening right here in our capital. Yes, we are of course going to be questioning and just doing and conducting a mini street quiz that obviously speaks volumes to the history, the knowledge, as well as preparedness of the people themselves around the Southern African Development Community Summit that is taking place, where we're also going to see the chairmanship being instated on our President, His Excellency, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. Now come with me on this journey. My name is Kurtley Gwindi, and let's walk together to find out what the streets of Harare are thinking at this moment. I'm joined by Mitch, who is speaking all things to do with SADC. Mitch, how are you feeling?
Great, fantastic. Thanks.
Absolutely, and perhaps break it down for us. The acronym SADC, what does it stand for?
Isn't it Southern African Development Community?
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for the Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Committee.
SADC stands for Southern African Development Community.
Southern African Development Community.
Southern Africa Development Community.
SADC stands for the Southern African Development Community, an organization that was started to ensure that there is cooperation amongst Southern African countries.
Please tell us where the headquarters for SADC are.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they're in Gaborone in Botswana.
The SADC headquarters at the moment are in South Africa.
I think Ethiopia.
I think they're in Gaborone, Botswana.
I think South Africa.
The headquarters are in Botswana.
If you can name for us 3 founding fathers within the SADC.
Seretse Khama, R.G. Mugabe, Julius Nyerere.
The SADC founding fathers, I think there was Samora Machel, there was Robert Mugabe, and there was also, I think, Nyerere could have been also part and parcel of that cooperation, I think.
I think I know one. That's Seretse Khama in Botswana.
Hopefully I'll just name one, Samora Machel.
BADEA. Samora Machel. Those what I know.
Founding fathers. First one is Dr. Magufuli. It's President Robert Mugabe and Seretse Khama.
In 30 seconds, I'm going to give you the chance to be able to share with us countries that are within the SADC region, as many as you can. Let's go.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana, Cameroon.
So in SADC we have Zimbabwe, obviously. We have South Africa. We have Lesotho. We have Swaziland.
Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi.
Obviously, start with Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, Namibia. I don't know if Namibia is in. Yeah, Tanzania. Yeah, to mention a few, only to mention a few. Yeah.
There's Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Malawi, and Mozambique.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ethiopia, DRC, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Egypt.
Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, Kenya, Comoros. That's what I know.
South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, Angola, DRC. Angola, I've said. Malawi, she's a bit further north. Not Tanzania. Tanzania included.
South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Tanzania, Namibia, Zambia, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mauritius, Madagascar. I think that's about it that I know.
Perhaps share with us who the incoming chair who's going to be instated this August here in Harare, Zimbabwe, who that chairperson is.
His Excellency E.D. Dambudzo Mnangagwa.
Isn't it Mnangagwa? I'm not really sure.
It's His Excellent Dr. Idi Mnangagwa.
The incoming chair is His Excellency President Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa.
Interesting feedback there from Kurt Lee's excursion, where he was finding out on the general public's appreciation and understanding of SADEC's 44th summit. Now, also remembering once again the economic integration that comes with some of the main objectives of SADC. Zimbabwe plays a significant role in the economic integration of SADC by facilitating trade and investment among its member states. Now, the country is also a key signatory to the SADC Protocol on free trade areas, which is meant to reduce customs duties and other barriers of imported goods among the member states.
Ukuqhutshwa komhlangano emuva ngale esibonile emalangeni ambalwa adlulileyo sokuyenelise ukuthi kulimukise uZulu ukuthi kwenzakalani. Abaningi kade bebona kade sibona ukuthi hayi abaningi bayakwazi ukuthi iSADC kuyini bayakwazi ukuthi iSADC yenzani ngoba nongenayo kuba ngumgcini sihlalo walonyaka, you know, so bekuyingoma ehlatshelwayo and besimelele ilanga lelo ukuthi lifike ukuthi kwenzakale kusasa kuyabe senzakala.
I found it interesting how the headquarters of SADC, some saying South Africa, others are saying Ethiopia, right? But Ethiopia for obvious reasons, because that's where the African Union is. But some facts there.
Yeah, yazi inhlelo ezinje ziyayenza ukuthi uZulu yazi aphatheke la abekwazi ngoba ngithemba ngalokho okusekwenzakela nje imhlangano esiqhuthiwe konke sokwenze ukuthi uZulu abekwazi ukuthi iSADC kuyini, abe babengakwazi vele ukuthi iSADC kuyini, but sesifunde okuningi. Sesifunde okuningi kuhambo lolu vele.
I couldn't agree with you anymore there, Farai.
And njalo futhi sizabona ukuthi bemfu ugcizelela ukuthi iSADC umhlangano weSADC uqhakathekile kakhulu ngoba usiyenelisa ukusekela inhlelo eziqhutshwa ngamazwe akuSADC. Sibona ukuthi ibank le Afrexim Bank selenelise ukusekela inhlelo eziqhutshwa ngamazwe akuSADC. And khona lokho sokwenelisa ukuthi lathi sime sodwa siyenelise lathi ukuthuthukisa amazwe ethu akuSADC.
That's it, I couldn't agree with you anymore there. All right, on that note, we're now going to be crossing over live to Mount Hampton, where we're joined by Justin Mahlahla, who will be giving us the updates.
We want to thank you for joining us again this afternoon as we continue to give you updates on what is taking place from the new Parliament building here in Mount Hampton, the venue of the 44th Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government. As we speak, heads of state are expected to arrive in the country, and of course, those who will be attending the SADC Troika meeting this afternoon will also be finding their way to the venue for that Troika meeting. Early in the morning, there was the official opening session of the Ministerial Council on the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security that met and deliberated on issues to do with peace and security in the region. Of course, highlighting those discussions were issues to do with the consolidation of peace through the SMM, that's the SADC standby force that was deployed to the Cabo Delgado region in Mozambique, and the need to ensure that the peace that has been consolidated in that place or that part of Mozambique is actually maintained. Also to do with what is taking place in the Kingdom of Lesotho as well as the Democratic Republic of Congo. Some troubled spots there, but the SADC peacekeeping forces have been in and out of those regions to try and make sure that there is peace. Those are some of the issues that are being discussed as we speak by the Ministerial Council on the Organ on Peace, Security and Defense. They will be preparing documents that they will submit to heads of state who constitute the SADC Troika. That Troika meeting will also take place here here at the new Parliament building later on in the afternoon. And of course, tomorrow is the big day, the summit taking place as heads of state and government converge to deliberate on how to take the SADC bloc forward. I am Justin Matlatla and I'm joined by Sibukele Maposa. Sibukele, you seem to be having a great time here, enjoying yourself, aren't you?
You know, Jesse, I'm looking at this place and it's just majestic. It looks like a fortress and a correct narration of the Zimbabwean story. I can see the flags, and this place overlooks the majestic boulevard which connects New Parliament building to Mazoe Road. It is magnificent. We can see farming activity going on. We can see the beautiful tree barriers that are over there. I'm sure that Zimbabwe is proud to have established this. I can also see just how many minerals are represented here. There's a statue over there, the Sekruka Gubi and the Mbuyane statues standing on pieces of malachite, the black granite, the chevron design. So many things to see, and just how much of Zimbabwe is depicted from this. So I'm not worried, Jesse, if they will capture the Zimbabwe narrative, because this building right here tells that story perfectly, and how Zimbabwe is ready to welcome the various heads of state that will be here. It's also exciting to see just there is a cultural show. There's a beautiful cultural show, and how people are ready to showcase Zimbabwe and sing and tell the people that are coming, especially the heads of state, that Zimbabwe is ready to welcome them. So I'm now going to join the culture warriors as we dance and welcome the SADC region to this beautiful place.
Wonderful. You can proceed. Proceed.
Well, that's a bit of a showcase of what Zimbabwean culture has to offer. And one of the things I'm very proud of is just how much the SADC region has collaborated in promoting the arts and making sure that they recognize they're well paid, and that the preservation of culture and its dynamics continues to perpetuate. One of the things that I'm very passionate about, Jesse, and look at this, beautiful, magnificent, saying Tora utawa
In fact, that is a song that used to be sang by our forefathers when they were on a hunting expedition. Tora uta wangu ndoda kwenda. So it talks of how we used it to make livelihoods through hunting, gathering, and so forth. But this is what the SADC region is all about. Also, when you talk of cultures, Wukile, and how people share these the dance and song, it's about identity, passing on of traditions, and also the element of Ubuntu. This is what defines us as Africans. And of course, this is just but the beginning of what will be taking place here at new Parliament building in Mount Hamden. We'll be giving you more. And as we said earlier, we're expecting the arrival of heads of state who are coming for the Troika Summit, the Troika meeting that will be taking place later on in the day. And of course, others are arriving. Others arrived yesterday, but we expect them to be here to converge and to join the President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who will be taking over as chairman of the regional bloc. That's tomorrow during the SADC summit. We are taking you back to our Pocket Hill studios. Keep watching ZBC TV.
Thank you so much there to Justin and Sibugele for giving us the update from Mount Hampton, where we saw, of course, traditional dancers who will be receiving the heads of state who will be coming in for the Troika Summit, which will be happening a bit later on during the course of the afternoon. Farai, nice dances there.
Yeah, kumnandi Mount Hampton and ama-dances angikhona hayi siyabonga. Isikhathi sokuthi sizitshengise siziqhenye ukuthi singabobani kuqala khonapho.
All right. Now, extending from there, of course, we'll be giving you more programming and updates of the various developments that have taken place leading up to the 44th SADC Summit. Let's listen in to more developmental projects and prospects that took place as we're building up towards SADC.
Fraternal at 44, it's not just a mere coincidence. She participated at the birth of the regional grouping on the 1st of April 1980 as the Southern African Development Coordination Conference formed. Just like any other member of this regional family, she was there when the group transformed into SADC in 1992. Fraternal at 44, not just a mere coincidence. The SADC 16-nation community group, Zimbabwe, a cog in the wheel. The 44th SADC Summit and Zimbabwe is a story of shared past, shared achievements, shared vision, and a shared future. Zimbabwe will host the 44th SADC Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government at the time. She is also celebrating her 44th independence. As Zimbabwe welcomes its brothers and sisters from the Southern African Development Community, SADC, for the 44th Summit, a remarkable journey of unity and shared aspirations unfolds.
It is indeed a great honor for Zimbabwe to host the 44th Ordinary Summit of SADC, Heads of State and Government, from the 8th to the 18th of August this year. The summit provides a platform for heads of state and government of the 16 SADC member states to review the progress made on the implementation of regional priorities and exchange views on strengthening and deepening cooperation.
Against the backdrop of joyful Independence Day festivities, Zimbabwe stands as a beacon of hope and progress, embodying the ideals of unity and cooperation with the SADC partners.
SADC, when it was formed in 1980, the main objective from a non-technical point of view was to build unity among the people of Southern Africa. So the regional integration project over the years has precisely been about giving meaning to that, making sure that SADC citizens can see, feel and benefit from the fruits of member states working together as one regional economic community.
This was the objective of SADCC, to
become more independent, working together to generate unity among themselves. And their founding statement in April 1980 was Southern Africa towards economic development. So their focus was always on economic development and prosperity. But they had several stages first. And the period of the 1980s were destabilized in the region. There was military action against neighboring countries, and there was economic action against neighboring countries. So it was very, very difficult. And the work of SADCC was very difficult. They had military action against them, they had economic action against them, and meanwhile they were newly independent themselves and trying to develop. But they succeeded.
Together, they strive towards common goals and achievements in key areas vital to their collective growth and prosperity. Trade, the lifeblood of nations, pulses through Zimbabwe's markets, connecting communities and fostering economic empowerment. As Zimbabwe and the SADC nations unite, they envision a future where trade flourishes, creating opportunities for all and strengthening bonds across borders.
So the one-stop border posts are some of the main success stories. And then we have what we call the SADEC real-time gross settlement system, which is a system where which allows banks to process payments electronically without having to use Euro-based or America-based intermediaries. That one has been in place since 2013. In fact, all countries now, all the 16 SADC countries now have used that system. It allows for quicker settlement of payments, cross-border settlement of payments.
One of the things that are very close to my heart is to get the member states and our leaders particularly to appreciate this fact that the products that are produced in this region, before they can be exported anywhere else, they must first be consumed in this region. Therefore, we must exhaust consumption of those products, and then if there's anything excess, then it can be shared elsewhere. Obviously, there are differences of where you get the maximum value vis-a-vis where you get economies of scale. If it's here, mostly it's economies of scale. If it's a specialized product, maybe you can get maximum value elsewhere. So for me, it's critical that every member state, we understand the products that they produce. And we also look at the competitive advantages coming out of those products. There can be others that are produced everywhere in the region, but there are others that are unique to every country, that it's important, or that product is important to that country. And therefore, as I said earlier on talking about the value chains, we look at that product for that particular country and work with that country to make sure that they develop the value chain fully and close the gaps that are in the value chain and make sure that the country benefits. As an example, if it's Eswatini that produces sugar, we must make sure that the region consumes that sugar. If it's Eswatini and any other country or two other countries that are producing sugar and all ancillary products related to sugar, they must make sure that they are consumed in this region first. Anything excess can then be taken outside. If it's beef, the countries that are producing beef, we must make sure that beef is consumed in this region. If it's diamonds, if it's whatever, it's first consumed here, and then it can be taken elsewhere. So what am I saying? Intertrade between member states is critical. So we need to look at these databases and then work from there, and then say, we've got these products in the region. We've got the SADC free trade area. Again, it's a protocol. We must make sure that everybody has signed that thing, has ratified it, as member states, all the 16 countries, they must have signed it. Those that have not signed, let's understand why they have not signed. And then we make sure that we help them to sign. Then beyond, we can go into the region, into the continent, Africa Free Trade Area. Then we take our products, because now they are of high quality, they are already being utilized in the region, we are consuming them, we have to experience them, then we can take them out into the continent, and then the continent can enjoy it. But first, it's us, because when you do that, we're also improving, as I said, employment here, beneficiating it here, industrializing here, therefore more jobs here, more revenue here, and so forth. And the economic activity, it's here, then you can broaden it beyond the region.
For the SADC region to propel the industrialization initiative, we cannot work in silos, both in terms of in-country or cross-border cooperation. Hence, by and large, there is need for our national development strategies to be in sync with the broader development agenda in our region. As such, agriculture and agribusiness, along with our regional energy, water, transport, and port infrastructure, as well as trade routes, should be developed in a collaborative manner. Greater commitment must be demonstrated by all stakeholders to the full implementation of our policies, such as the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan.
Amidst the rolling hills and sun-kissed plants, Zimbabwe harnesses the power of renewable energy to illuminate homes and hearts with a shared dedication to clean and sustainable practices.
At the moment, there's a lot of renewable energy projects that are being developed, either driven by governments or even by independent power producers, both here in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in Namibia, in Botswana, in Mozambique as well. We then have the bigger projects that are at preparatory stages. In Mozambique, the Mpandangua project is being marketed quite strongly, and we believe that it should be able to come to fruition very soon. Zimbabwe and Zambia are marketing the Batoka project, which we believe will bring in a lot of generation on board. Actually, currently ongoing is the Julius Nyerere hydropower station in Tanzania. The only unfortunate thing is that Tanzania is not yet interconnected. So we're really looking forward to Tanzania getting interconnected so that we can have access to that power in the region. Angola has been developing a lot of hydropower stations. In fact, right now they've got access. Unfortunately, they are not yet interconnected. So once again, we're making a lot of efforts to get Angola interconnected, particularly through Namibia, so that we can then also get a share of that excess generation that they do have. So the ones that are not interconnected are Angola, Malawi, and Tanzania. With Malawi, the construction of the interconnection is already in progress. That's the Mozambique-Malawi interconnection. We expect it to be completed by the end of this year. And therefore, after that, Malawi will get access to the rest of the subgrid. With Tanzania, there's a lot of progress to connect them to Zambia. Inside Tanzania, they're already constructing the line to the Zambian border. And we are aware that there's work now to try and get financing for the Zambian portion. When that happens, then Tanzania becomes interconnected. With Angola, we have been doing feasibility studies for their interconnection to Namibia. That's in progress. So the balance of the countries that remain, which are interconnected, become South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and DRC. So those become the 9 that are interconnected quite strongly.
Zimbabwe and its bridging divides and forging pathways to progress. Infrastructure projects in Zimbabwe symbolize unity. From roads that connect distant communities to bridges that span divides, Zimbabwe and SADC work hand in hand to build a foundation of strength and resilience.
Welcome back to this special Alive Current Affairs broadcast of the SADC 44th Summit. We'll now be crossing over to Mount Hampton for the closing of the engagements currently taking place.
Sibuku, asante sana, ziko mokwambili, twarumbaga pati, tatenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Mlambo Haimbe, State Council MP, and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Affairs of the Republic of Zambia and Chairperson of this committee. We've come to the end of this session. We will meet again here at 4 p.m. for the Organ Troika Summit. Shall we rise for the anthems? very much, Chitungwiza Harmony Singers and St. Mary's High School for the anthems. The meeting has ended. We will allow the honorable ministers to exit the room, and then the rest of us will follow. Thank you. Members of the press, just to remind that we will have the Organ Troika Summit in here at 4 p.m. You are invited for the official opening and closing. Thank you.
Coming right there at the cusp of the end of that engagement there with various ministers. However, of course, we'll be making sure that we do give you more updates as they progress. We'll be speaking to Justin Mahlahla and Sibugela, who are currently at Mount Hampton. However, Farai will be taking a short breather at the moment, and of course, looking forward to the lunchtime news. I'll be coming at 1 o'clock.
Ya lingayikhathana sisathi hu kancane kodwa okakhathesi kuzaba le news kodwa phambili sizabe silinika okwenzakalayo umhlangano eqhutshwayo eSADC.